The rain had just started to fall on the quiet street, making the pavement slick and the air heavy with that earthy smell after a drizzle. A young woman in a faded yellow raincoat pedaled steadily on her bicycle, a large insulated delivery bag strapped to her back. She was running late on an order, weaving through traffic with the focus of someone who knew every second counted. Her name was Sarah, and for the past year, delivering food had been her way to pay for college. She wasn't looking for trouble, but trouble, it seemed, was looking for her. A loud roar broke the rhythm of her pedaling. From behind, a shiny black motorcycle swerved too close, the rider revving the engine as if to make a point. Sarah kept to the side, trying to ignore him. But at the next red light, the biker pulled up alongside her. His helmet visor hid his eyes, but the smirk in his voice was clear when he made a mocking comment about delivery girls taking over the road. Sarah simply tightened her grip on her handlebars, pretending not to hear. That should have been the end of it. When the light turned green, she started forward, but before she could gain speed, the biker's shoulder knocked into hers. The shove wasn't hard enough to knock her over, but it sent her wobbling dangerously, her bike tires slipping against the wet pavement. Behind her, the sound of the motorcycle engine roared again, but something in Sarah's expression had changed. She wasn't just going to keep pedaling. What happened next happened so fast. Most people on the street didn't even see it clearly. There was a sharp movement, the screech of metal against asphalt, and in an instant, the biker was no longer upright. His motorcycle lay tipped on its side, wheels still spinning. Sarah stood just a few steps away, her delivery bag still on her back, her eyes steady on the man now scrambling to his feet. And in that tense, rain-soaked silence, everyone watching wondered what exactly had just happened. The biker pulled off his helmet, revealing a square jaw and eyes that flickered between shock and anger. He looked at his overturned motorcycle, then back at Sarah, as if trying to figure out how someone half his size had left him standing in the rain like this. People on the sidewalk had slowed their steps, their curious glances darting between the two. No one spoke, but the quiet murmur of the city seemed to pause for a moment. Sarah's breathing was steady, though her heart raced under her raincoat. She didn't like attention, and she hated confrontations even more. But she had learned long ago that keeping her head down didn't always keep her safe. She gripped her bike's handlebars a little tighter, her knuckles pale, as if preparing for whatever might come next. The delivery bag on her back felt heavier, not from the food inside, but from the weight of every eye watching. The man took a step closer, his boots splashing in the puddles. "You're lucky I'm in a hurry," he muttered, but his tone carried a challenge. Sarah said nothing. She could smell the faint scent of gasoline from the fallen bike, mixing with the damp air. In the distance, a siren wailed faintly, though it was hard to tell if it was coming closer. The rain picked up, blurring the edges of the scene. Somewhere in the crowd, someone pulled out a phone, recording. Sarah noticed but didn't react. Mind was on something else, the way the biker had shoved her without a second thought. Like she didn't belong on the road at all. The man bent down to lift his bike, water dripping from his leather jacket. His jaw clenched, and for a moment, his eyes locked on hers. Whatever this was, Sarah knew it wasn't over. Sarah pushed her bike to the curb, trying to put a little distance between herself and the biker, but she never took her eyes off him. Rain streaked down her face, though it was hard to tell if the dampness was only from the weather. He was struggling to get the motorcycle upright, his jaw tight, his boots slipping slightly on the slick road. Every movement seemed heavier with the weight of whatever was passing silently between them. Across the street, a man in a green hoodie stood under a shop awning, watching closely. He had seen the whole thing from the moment the biker swerved. In front of her, Sarah didn't know him, but something in his expression made her uneasy. He wasn't just curious, he looked like he was calculating something. Meanwhile, the delivery app on her phone buzzed inside her pocket. reminding her of the order waiting to be dropped off. Under normal circumstances, she would have hurried. An apologized to the customer if she was late and forgotten the whole encounter. But the way the biker's eyes followed her now made it impossible to simply leave. It wasn't just about a shove anymore. It felt personal. The crowd had started to thin, the rain urging people back under shelter. But the few who lingered whispered to each other, glancing between Sarah and the man. Somewhere behind her, she could hear the faint hum of another engine. Idling, maybe a car stopped at the light, maybe something else. The biker finally got his motorcycle upright, water dripping from the seat. His gaze swept over her, almost like he was trying to place her face, as if they had met before. Sarah's grip on the handlebars tightened again. She didn't know him. At least, she didn't think she did. But the way he looked at her, it felt like he knew exactly who she was. The biker swung one leg over his motorcycle but didn't start the engine. Instead, he let the silence stretch, his eyes never leaving Sarah. The sound of the rain was louder now, a steady drum against the pavement. Sarah's delivery timer kept flashing on her phone, but she didn't reach for it. Every instinct told her to move, to pedal away, yet her feet stayed rooted. Something about the way he lingered made it clear this wasn't over. From across the street, the man in the green hoodie shifted slightly, stepping out from the awning. He glanced up and down the road before pulling something from his pocket. Not a weapon, but a phone. He raised it like he was recording, and Sarah realized he wasn't filming the accident or the biker. His camera was pointed at her. The biker finally spoke, his voice low but cutting through the rain. "Oh, you ride around like you own the streets. But maybe you should watch where you're going next time." There was something layered in his tone, not just annoyance, but a warning. He started the engine, the sound vibrating through the ground. Yet he stayed put. As if waiting for her reaction, Sarah's thoughts raced. Why was this man so fixated on her? Why was someone else recording from across the street? And why did it feel like they both knew something she didn't? The situation was no longer just about a near collision. It was spiraling into something darker, something she couldn't quite name. The light ahead turned green, traffic moving again, but still the biker didn't leave. A car behind him honked, the sound sharp and impatient. He leaned slightly closer on the bike, his words nearly lost under the rumble of the engine. "We'll see you again, delivery girl." And then, without another glance, he revved hard, spraying water from the tires, disappearing into the blur of the rain, leaving Sarah standing frozen, her heart pounding, and the man in the green hoodie still filming from the shadows. Sarah's hands were still gripping the handlebars when the biker's taillight vanished into the curtain of rain. She exhaled slowly, ready to finally push off, but the movement across the street stopped. The man in the green hoodie lowered his phone and began walking toward her, not hurriedly, but with the steady pace of someone who knew she wouldn't leave. The street felt emptier now, the noise of traffic muted by the rain and distance. Sarah's delivery could wait. Something told her this moment mattered more. As he got closer, she could see his face more clearly, sharp features, eyes that seemed to measure everything about her in a single glance. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said quietly, his tone less like a warning and more like a fact. Before she could respond, he slid his phone into his pocket. "That guy, he wasn't just messing with you. He's part of a group. They've been watching riders like you for weeks." The words hit her like a sudden drop in temperature. "Why?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He hesitated, glancing toward the intersection where the biker had disappeared. "Some of them think you've seen something you weren't supposed to. I've seen you around before. You take the same route most nights." Sarah's pulse quickened. She had no idea what he was talking about, but the certainty in his voice unsettled her. Before she could press for answers, A black van turned the corner at the far end of the street, its headlights cutting through the mist. It slowed as it approached, too slow to be casual. The man in the hoodie stepped slightly in front of her. His shoulders tense, the van rolled to a stop a few feet away, engine idling, wipers swiping in a steady rhythm. No one got out. Sarah felt her stomach tighten. This wasn't just a bad encounter. Anymore, it was turning into something much bigger. And she was right in the middle of it. The van door slid open with a sharp metallic sound, and two figures stepped out. They weren't wearing biker gear, just dark jackets, hoods pulled low. One of them scanned the street, while the other fixed his eyes on Sarah. The man in the green hoodie shifted his stance. His voice low but urgent. "Stay behind me." His calm tone couldn't hide the tension in his shoulders. Sarah's mind raced, wondering if she should run. But the wet road and the heavy delivery bag made it clear she wouldn't get far. One of the strangers took a step. Closer. "We don't want trouble," he said, his voice almost casual. "We just need to ask you a few questions about last Thursday night." Sarah blinked, confused. Last Thursday had been Nathi.